In my previous video, I spoke about uh, the two nostrils and how they are related to the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Well, I would like to talk a little bit in detail about this. Well, I also said that there is this concept of nadis, where the left nostril is called the Ida Nadi and the right nostril is called the Pingala Nadi in yogic science. Now, I know most people in the conventional science field, whenever they hear these words, they start rolling up their eyes and they stop listening basically. But the thing is, these concepts are a bit intuitional. Uh, they, you can't really explain them intellectually, but I made this video so that I explain them, so that I explain this whole concept of nadis in an intellectual manner, so that people who follow conventional wisdom, they don't move away from this science, because this is very much a valid science. Someone who has actually studied the yogic science properly would actually understand the significance of the concept of nadis. So I said how, like, if the left nostril is active, like, you can actually check, at a time any one nostril is active, and in very rare cases you'll find that both the nostrils are active. Now, people who have both the nostrils open all the time, they are the ones who have a very healthy physiology, and it is a very rare thing to have that. A perfectly balanced physiological system where the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system are working in perfect harmony. That is a very rare thing. That is the reason why in most human beings, the case is that either the left nostril will be active at a time or the right nostril will be active. You can check that. And sometimes, even in people who don't have a perfect physiology, sometimes both the nostrils are also active, but it doesn't happen for it's not a permanent thing. And I'm not really talking about infections here. Like, the blockages in the nasal passage due to infections is a completely different issue. Here I'm talking about a completely healthy mucous membrane, and still there will be a more active nostril at a time with most human beings, and only people with a very, very well balanced autonomic nervous system will have both the nostrils active all the time. So what is the significance of the nostrils and the nadis and this whole autonomic nervous system? Well, the parasympathetic nervous system is concerned with the regeneration and resting phase of the body, the healing phase of the body, whereas the sympathetic nervous system is concerned with the catabolic action, the breaking down action for the generation of energy or for the digestion of food. So it's only when these both systems are working in harmony will you have perfect health, right? The whole concept of the nadi shuddhi pranayam, also known as the anulom vilom pranayam, which is like the alternate nostril breathing. The whole concept of that alternate nostril breathing is also related to this concept of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Basically, the alternate nostril breathing is a very common pranayam that is taught in almost all spiritual organizations and yogic organizations. I will make a separate video on that, on pranayam. But for now, understand that if your left nostril is active, it means that your body is predominantly in an anabolic phase, in a parasympathetic mode. And if your right nostril is active, it is because the body is in a sympathetic mode, in a catabolic mode. And what is the scientific explanation for this? Well, we all know that, like I said, there's this concept of nadis where mainly in yoga we speak about the Sushumna Nadi and the Ida Nadi and the Pingala Nadi. So if I have to create a relation between this concept of nadi and the anatomical structure, and I can say that there is the spinal column which runs along the whole torso region, right from the base of the spine, right from the perineum point. It runs along till the brain, and this spinal column has two adjacent chains, the two adjacent ganglionated nervous chains that run adjacent to the spine. So these two chains are associated with the sympathetic nervous system, and then there are certain cranial nerves and the vagus nerve, which is associated with the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, these two chains that run along the spinal column, the receptors of those chains, it somehow ends at each nostril. So actually, there is definitely a connection between those nervous chains and the activation of both the nostrils. So whenever you're practicing asanas, it is important that your body is in a more relaxed anabolic state, because you are practicing asanas for the proper secretion of the glands, for the proper development of the corporal structure and the physiological structure. And this can happen only if the body is in that natural regenerative or healing phase. So that is the reason why I said that whenever you're practicing your asanas, you need to make sure that the left nostril is active or both the nostrils are active, so that whenever you're practicing the asanas, the physiology, the nervous system is in the right state, should be in the anabolic state, so that you're able to build your body and your physiology the way you want it to be. So that is the whole point of practicing yoga, so that you can build not just the body but also the physiology, the internal structure, the psychic structure, which is associated with the endocrine glands. So all these things are related, So yes, so indeed, all this talk about nadis, they do sound a little bit like mumbo jumbo, but there is an anatomical connection, anatomical relationship with these yogic concepts. So it is very interesting to explore this science, this yogic science. And normally also, if you see, even in today's world, it has been seen that if your body is in a parasympathetic mode, in anabolic state, in a relaxed state, your left nostril will be more dominant. And if it is in a irritated state, or rather a sympathetic catabolic state, your right nostril will be active. So this video is basically just to tell you about the significance of the nostrils and the autonomic nervous system. That is it for now.